I know what it sounds like, but I swear it's a desperate situation. So I, 23 male, have been with my girlfriend, 22, for 7 months. She has a visible scar on her neck and she hates to be asked about it and hates to tell the story behind it. Believe it or not, I don't have the story yet, but I'm waiting till she's comfortable to share. She met my family several times and of course, Mom and aunts asked her about the scar, like 3 to 4 times in just a couple of hours, then at dinner, then during movie time, etc. It got bothersome and my girlfriend would look uncomfortable and I could just tell the question itself brought her sadness. I told my mom to stop asking such invasive questions about the scar, and every time she'd say, "Okay, won't ask, I promise," but then she would turn around and do it again. My girlfriend and I attended dinner at Mom's on Mother's Day. We were sitting in the living room, and my mom went to ask my girlfriend about the scar again, this time with a bigger audience because the whole family was there. My girlfriend said she'd rather not talk, but Mom kept cornering her and asking her in yes or no form. I was sitting next to Mom and forced a loud fart to take pressure and attention away from my girlfriend to get Mom to switch her focus on something else. I was like, "Whoops," and the family started laughing. Mom turned to me and gave me a nasty stare. It got awkward, but I was desperate and couldn't yell at Mom to stop and start a fight on Mother's Day, so I thought of this instead of making a scene. She pulled me into the kitchen and scolded me for what I did after admitting that I did it intentionally. She called me childish and said that if I didn't want her to bring up my girlfriend's scar, I should have said. But I did. I swear like 100 times. My girlfriend and I left, and my girlfriend couldn't stop laughing in the car. Unfortunately, Dad was upset too, saying I behaved poorly and childishly in front of the extended family and told me to grow up. Am I the idiot? LOL, the tactical fart was the right move. Mother and aunt are clear idiots. Your dad told you to grow up. Your dad should be congratulated because he raised you right, and you and your girlfriend were the only adults in the room. No, not the idiot, but with such a big audience, you should have said, "Mom, we've been over this dozens of times. If someone doesn't feel comfortable answering a personal question, and you know this is the case, then you're being rude and disrespectful. Now, please apologize and keep your word that you won't do this again." And do that every time she attempts to harass your girlfriend. This is a great starting place, but I say she gets the warning once per outing, then we move from starting position to an action position. OP, your mother repeatedly violated a clearly stated and perfectly reasonable boundary, and now she thinks you're being childish? Nope, her assertion that you should have told her is ridiculous. Not only did you repeatedly tell her to stop, your girlfriend told her. At that point, what's it matter what you have to say about it? The only relevant opinion in the room was expressed, and your mom kept pushing. True grace is making everyone feel welcome in your presence. OP's mom is gross. I can't imagine a situation where I, as an adult, would look at someone and ask where they got a scar. Particularly a scar in a way because the likelihood of some trauma behind it is high. It might be a medical or through violence, but it's for sure none of my business to ask. It's also worse because it's scary to meet parents and their family as OP's girlfriend, so his mom is just asserting her dominance by repeatedly pushing for the story. The hypocrisy of her calling you childish when she's being actively cruel is appalling. Now, in the future, when your mother starts being nosy, you can just say, "Come on, Mom, do I have to do it again?" and do it every time it's mentioned. Then Mom will quickly realize how often she asks. You are the idiot for repeatedly subjecting your girlfriend to your mother, and then she didn't want to cause a scene on Mother's Day. Are you afraid of hurting Mommy's feelings while she is causing a scene and blatantly disrespecting your girlfriend in front of the whole family? Grow a backbone. I feel so bad for your girlfriend. Your mom is doing it on purpose. She's being disrespectful on purpose. And yet you keep allowing her to be in the presence of your girlfriend, whom she clearly has an issue with. Whenever there's a formal at my 19 female school, which is pretty often, this girl, 19, who I thought was my friend, asks to borrow one of my formal dresses since she doesn't have any. And since girls try to avoid repeating the same dress within a semester, she has borrowed like 7 dresses from me. Every time she borrows one, I have to have it dry cleaned, which is about $25 regularly, but because all the dresses are considered high-end delicates, it's $50 each time. I thought we were friends, and I've loaned her evening gowns many times for formal she otherwise wouldn't be able to attend. She was literally sobbing on the phone the first time she realized she didn't have a dress she felt content wearing. The last dress she borrowed from me was one of my nicer dresses, and it was for the most formal gala our school throws each year. I asked for it back right after. She left me on red for 2 weeks and kept ignoring my texts. I eventually showed up at her dorm to get the dress, which she said was waiting to go in the washer since she was washing it for me. I was like, "You can't wash a formal dress made out of formal material. That would destroy it." She had no clue. I said I'd be back for it. She left me on red for another 2 weeks as I texted her and pointedly ignored me until I showed up at her door again. She pretended not to hear me and I texted her roommate to have her roommate open the door for me. I said, "I want my dress back right now." Then she actually said to me, "What are you doing here? You're trespassing on my property. This dorm room is my private residence and you're threatening me with your crazy energy." I said I will call the campus authorities if she didn't get my dress for me right now. Keeping it from me is stealing my property. She yelled, "Oh, so now I'm a thief. How dare you disrespect me in my home?" I said, "You certainly are, and you owe me $690 if I don't get my dress right now. I will contact the authorities." She said, "Well, I've misplaced it in my room somewhere and I don't have time to search, so go away." Her dorm room is like 3 feet wide. It's impossible to lose my dress. I said I would call the campus police and report the theft, and I will tell everyone at our school on my Instagram story what she did, and she said I'm a liar and gaslighter, and I've made her feel unsafe in her residence by demanding what is mine. She said her roommate says I'm a gaslighter too, and I don't even know a roommate. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, obviously. Get authorities involved and be prepared that your dress doesn't exist anymore, or isn't wearable anymore, stained, ripped, damaged. And because the dress is so valuable, I would consider calling the police instead of campus police. If it's worth $690 originally, you can probably get at least $500 for it. Willing to bet she sold it. Also, if you must loan a thing, require a deposit for double the value in cash and see how quickly they find other alternatives. With respect to the money, memorize this. No, I never loan money and I don't have to give it away. Wash, rinse, repeat. OP, don't post about it on social media. That is so childish. Just be an adult about it. Report her to security and ask her for your dress back plus the cleaning cost. If she doesn't give it up, then call the police. She's refusing to return property belonging to you. That is theft. She needs to give it back and is refusing. She may have damaged the dress and is avoiding giving it back as she can't pay for the replacement. It might be childish, but it might also be a good way to warn other people from lending her their dresses. But damn, OP, stop lending her dresses. How many dresses going to the dry cleaners does it take for you to understand that she's not a very good friend? Tell campus authorities. I don't know if they can do anything, but it's worth a try, and for the love of all that is holy, just stop lending her things. At the very least, it will leave a record that you did try to get your dress from her. So, when I, 18, was 2, my mom, 37, gave me up for adoption. My adoptive mom loved me, but I was 5 when she died, so I don't really remember her. My dad remarried, and my stepmom and her kids didn't like me, and when they had kids, I just didn't belong. Dad would ignore me, my siblings bullied me, my brother who liked me died, and school was worse than home. Since I got into university, I've been working my butt off because of student loans because Dad said he wasn't going to pay for me. When I left in September, the only call I got was from him telling me not to come back for the winter because they got bed bugs, so they were going to Florida. When I visited for a week, he was happy and disappointed after staying longer than a day. In January, my bio mom found me because her daughter had died. It turns out she lived a great life after giving me up. She got a PhD, she's rich, has a big home, and the perfect family till last year. I was so angry at first as it seemed she only found me to replace her kid, but she got past all my tantrums, anger, and hate for her because she wanted to know me. She's an amazing person and her husband is like the dad I wish I had. When she hugs me, it makes me feel alive, and I didn't know hugs could make you feel that. In the months I've known her, I've gone from saying Evelyn to Mama, because Mom will always be the woman who adopted me. But she thinks my life has been good. Maybe it's because I don't ask her for anything, refuse all her gifts, and sometimes she makes remarks like, "What kept me going was knowing you were happy," and she wants to meet my dad and stepmom and siblings. Yesterday we went to Starbucks, and I saw this couple I knew from high school that was part of what made my life a nightmare, and I just couldn't deal, like my mind went blank. I ran out, left my mom there, went to my apartment to cry and booked an emergency session with my therapist. My mom was confused about why I did that and kept texting me and calling me, I told her I was fine. I don't think she believed me. I talked to my boyfriend and best friend about it last night, and she told me I was an idiot for not having told my mom everything yet. My boyfriend agreed with her. I don't feel like I am. She didn't need to find me, and telling her would only make her feel guilty. OP, you didn't have a horrible life because of her. You did because your adoptive dad is awful. Don't blame your biological mom for his faults. Perhaps you and your therapist can tell your mom about your life together. It's understandable you didn't lay everything out to your bio mom yet, as she's basically a stranger to you. I guess that you haven't told her about all the drama in your life because you're afraid she'll reject you again. I feel for you. She's trying to build a relationship with you, but I would likely be cautious too. Not the idiot. Full stop, dearie. Breathe. Now, your bio mom may not want to hear your life wasn't all rainbows and sugar plums, but you need to tell her the truth because it's not about making anyone feel bad. It's about being honest and taking this unnecessary weight off your shoulders. Whether you realize it or not, you carry a weight that puts you in the mind of being unimportant or not as important as others. And that's not true. You are just as important, worthy and special regardless of your past. You deserve the hugs, the gifts, the time, and all the good things. Do not hesitate to show your bio mom your life and what you've endured. It's made you stronger. My best friend, let's call him Mark, is getting married in 3 weeks. As groomsmen, our friends and I organised a surprise bachelor party. He told us not to pull anything strange and be respectful, but come on. It's a bachelor party, it's not a church gathering. We made sure to organise the best bachelor party for everyone involved. My best friend's fiancé is very uptight and has all these rules about how my best friend should be in the relationship and how everyone must respect them and go with the flow. Since he got with her, he's changed a lot, and I'm not sure whether or not he's happy, but since he made that decision as friends, we are here to make him feel as good as possible. For the party, we rented a hotel bedroom, bought several drinks, etc. We also brought a DJ, but the best part is the dancers we hired, and the priciest part. Once the dancers came, my friend was terrified and told the DJ to stop and ask the dancers to leave. Then he asked another friend of ours to escort the dancers out. I told my best friend that's messed up because we've already paid for them and can't get a refund, and it's just messed up how he told them to leave. He said he didn't care and that he warned us. He also said it's messed up how we hired dancers to do this to him, knowing he's getting married and his future wife is uncomfortable with stuff like that. That's when I commented, "So all of this is happening because of Yoko Ono." He started yelling at me and demanded I apologize while he was throwing curse words at me. I refused to apologize, and the rest of the guys tried to calm us down. He left and hasn't spoken to any of us since, and the guys now blame me for this and say I'm at fault for saying what I said. You purposefully and deliberately chose activities you knew he would say no to if given a chance. You then acted as if his valid reaction were unfair to you because you already paid. You then relied on one of the most tired tropes trotted out by men jealous of their friends' happiness and finding love. You are the idiot and you know it, OP. So next time you want an echo chamber, go sing in the shower. You are the idiot. This bachelor party should have been about what he wanted, not what you wanted. Also, I know this is beside the point, but can we stop using Yoko as a metonym for a woman destroying a man with her controlling behaviour? By all accounts, she had a nurturing relationship with Lennon that, if anything, was a positive influence on his already erratic and problematic behaviour, and it's pretty misogynistic to blame her for the Beatles breaking up, rather than the guy who decided to leave the band. I only have an older sister, 12 years older, whom I've not been particularly close to due to the age difference and her getting married and moving out when I was still relatively young. She's held a grudge against our father and has not been close to him for whatever reason. But on the other hand, Mom and Dad often contributed financial support to her and her husband. Additionally, they did the same for her 3 kids for their post-secondary education. Mom went first, Dad in 2000. He and I had talked about the content of his will a few times before his demise. He had real estate in 2 different states, one where she lives and one where I live. He wanted to leave all the real estate to me to finance my kids' college education, so I went to bat for my sister to convince him to leave my sister his property where she lived. He was adamant that it was to go to me. There was no convincing him once his mind was made up. Upon his passing, my brother-in-law commented to me that if I were a real man, I would have signed the property where they lived over to my sister. I explained that was not going to happen due to my legal obligations to follow the will to the letter of the law. I further explained that I attempted several times to convince him to leave her the property, to no avail, and that his intention was for it to further my kids' education. He did leave her $50,000 just the same, which I duly gave her, and the real estate was eventually liquidated and the proceeds were invested in my kids' college education. Needless to say, I was given the cold shoulder for nearly 20 years. In the meantime, I kept finding unclaimed property, namely checks, and splitting it with her, to my wife's chagrin at the time. They amounted to several $1,000s, of which my sister never acknowledged receipt. About 5 years ago, her niece arranged a meeting between my sister and me. We agreed to contact each other once a week and move on. She further stated that she would contest the will but decided not to. I didn't call her on time about 4 months later due to my hectic on-call employment requirements. She has refused to pick up the phone or return any calls since. Lately, she's had several health issues, some landing her in the hospital for extended stays. Her husband hangs up upon hearing my voice and/or they won't answer at all. They're of the mindset that I somehow screwed them out of the property where they reside. I still have all the probate records from the 2 states and made it clear they can look it over anytime they want. They've never wanted to see the documents. My sister appears to want to take it to her grave that she was screwed out of the will. Should I have somehow given her the property for the sake of keeping the peace? Or was it right to follow the will even though it resulted in such discourse? Not the idiot. Your father's wishes were and are his wishes. Your brother-in-law's quip about a real man, though. A real man would provide for his wife himself, not hope for a windfall from a dead father. I'd stop trying to have a relationship with them. They sound exhausting and unreasonable. They also sound like they don't want to see the probate records because they know that they're in the wrong, and it's much easier to stay mad at someone when you don't have proof, so they just want to be mad. And OP's parents had already paid for their daughter's and her children's post-secondary education. OP's father wanted to ensure that OP's kids got the same deal. You could have given her the real estate in her state plus the $50,000, and it still wouldn't have been enough. She'd taken money from your parents numerous times while they were alive. You've continued to give her money after they died. Do not let her guilt you into more. You cannot change her mind. Your father knew exactly what he was doing and why. It's done. It's over. Stop doubting your father and yourself. Block them. Get on with your life. Lose the guilt they're trying to lay on you with a thick trowel.